On to our 8th bout of the afternoon. Introducing first, into the red corner, Gabriel Evans.
This is another fighter from Rising Crane, so the traditional martial artists turned MMA fighters. And the Rising Crane guy earlier, he won with a submission, so maybe this will be a pattern for the Rising Crane guys. With I know their head instructor works under the tutelage of Braulio Estima, so we can see some good grappling, but they've also got that traditional martial arts background, some punching, some kicks. We're seeing they can mix it up.
Yeah, we're just getting a little bit of insight earlier there from the referee about that decision from Callum Abel. He was just giving us a little bit of insight into the straightness of Michael Hughes' arm there and a couple of those armbar submissions. And to the referees, the most paramount thing is the fighter's safety. And our referees just told us that because of the pedigree of Michael Hughes and his tutelage under Wallhead, he was allowing it to go when some of his judgment told him he might want to call that fight. So well done to the referee, and great to have a safe, rather sore Michael Hughes.
And our referee here, this is the same referee that works on Bama. This is the same referee that works on all those big shows. We're talking a battle arena, but they don't skimp on safety. We get the best refs, the best medics. Everyone here is quality. Now this is talking of the refereeing, this is a B-class fight, which means no ground and pound, but also, I was talking to the refs earlier, and they see B-class as an introductory level fight. So they don't let the fight go quite as far as they would in an A-class, because it's probably slightly less experienced fighters.
Reece Smith.
Oh, Gabriel Evans looks mean. Let's see what kind of mug Reece Smith has on.
Gabriel's looking super focused. Very broad guy, looking powerful.
Snarling. Love it.
So this is Reece Smith, and he's from Knott's MMA up in Nottingham.
Can't believe this is my old weight class. These kids look so small. And 70 kilos. It is the lightweight weight category, and these lads are not necessarily cutting weight for this. They're probably walking around very close to that weight, or even a little bit under it. So you're seeing guys that when they turn pro will have the choice of either going down to featherweight or even, dare I say, bantamweight, with how much weight people are cutting at the higher levels. But at this kind of an event, they can walk around their natural weight, and you're getting to see, folks, the real performance of these guys. Not dehydrated, not dieted to the point of starvation. They are in perfect working order.
And Knott's MMA is under Paul Lukowski, and he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, so you know that he's getting some good instruction on his grappling. And it's a great mixed gym. They really work every aspect of the game, and I think they're affiliated to Alliance with Jiu-Jitsu as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see where if this fight stays on the feet or if it become more of a grappling match.
First, the fighter in the red corner, weighing at 69.2 kilograms, fighting out of Rising Crane, Gabriel Evans.
Gabriel looking super focused, throwing combinations in the camera.
He's got the crazy eyes.
And his opponent, the fighter in the blue corner, weighing 69.1 kilograms, fighting out of Nottingham MMA, Reece Smith.
And Reece looking a little bit more relaxed, kind of comfy. Personally, when I fight, I've always favoured kind of being more relaxed in there, not having the crazy eyes going.
Cage closed. Judge is ready.
Boom, the leg kick. Oh, two big right kicks straight
and a chain
away.
punch and an answer right. And Reece comes running in, looking for the takedown.
Both
goes below the belt now.
I think. Big takedown now. Oh, a massive slam. I don't think he's done any damage with the slam, but this does take it out. He can wind you. He's now keeping his head pushed up against the cage. Now, because this is a B-class fight, you won't see any ground and pound to the head. So it becomes more of a grappling match. Who can stand up or who can work for submissions? But
this will be where it's so much more important for Reece Smith to look to either pass the guard if that's what the trail of thought he's got, where he's going to look for a submission, or to just back out and allow the fight to go standing. But Gabriel Evans came out with a serious chain of punches and kicks there at the very beginning. A rear leg kick into a teep. What a brilliant little technique there. I'm really interested to hope that this fight gets standing again to see how they'll match up in a little bit more of a calm striking situation.
And I can't see either fighter really trying to do much on the floor right here. Kind of Reece Smith is just keeping his head in his chest, doesn't seem to be trying to look to pass, and Gabriel just seems to be quite happy just to kind of throw a bit of ground and pound for the bottom. We might see the ref stand this up.
Yeah, you can see the tenacity in Gabriel Evans there as he's still trying to land punches even from the guard. which, while very annoying, does not necessarily hurt that much, nor can it finish a fight. This is not like UFC Tap Out 2.
No, for me, with these B-class fights, I would be really trying to look for those submissions, look to pass that guard, posture up, maybe get back to standing so we can improve position and look for those submissions. At the moment, those little body shots and those gloves are possibly wasting just a bit of energy that you might need later on, especially from the bottom of guard. That's a very unusual thing to be trying to hit the body from the bottom of guard. It maybe shows a little bit that, you could do with kind of improving, working on things, being brave and opening that guard, maybe looking for sweeps, looking for submissions.
Said that just as Reece Smith lands a thunderous right hand to the solar plexus of Gabriel Evans. And like you're saying, Chris, it's really just comfort there in the cage. If this is just excitement, this is sheer excitement, throwing those punches into the body there, hoping that one of them is going to do the damage that will lead you to that victory. Victory is made in small steps, inch by inch, and both of these fighters are trying to get in the upper hand, but in a position where they're not necessarily going to do much damage.
And Reece Smith's coaches are really shouting at him to try and pass and really improve position and not just mix up those body shots, but maybe he's a little bit nervous of getting caught in submissions. But it's hard to hurt someone to the body when they're on the ground like that because they're all crunched up anyway. They're keeping all that core very tight, as opposed to if you're stood up, you might not necessarily have those muscles tensed as you're getting hit.
Gabriel Evans looking to swivel his hips there a few times, might be looking to attack or just get a higher rate. As Reece Smith postures up to land some more punches.
Oh, very quick omoplata to transition, but no, and then look for a leg. I'd like to try that maybe early in the round. It seemed that he heard the clacker for the 10 seconds and then went for a submission, which, let's give yourself some time to work.
End of the first round there. Hopefully both fighters can calm down, have a little bit more of a presence of mind for their techniques and try to land a few more standing, or even on the ground, look for transitions and submissions.
It's very hard to score that because, Reece was definitely on top, and I guess you could score that he's controlling, but he wasn't really trying to improve position. He didn't seem to be trying to get any transitions out of it. And then the same for Gabriel on the bottom. He seemed quite happy just to hold his guard close and throw some punches. If he wants to get a stand-up, wrap up the guy's arm so he can't do anything. Don't just lay there swapping body shots.
Equally difficult to score, isn't it? Because there wasn't enough action in that, whereas some of the earlier fights we've had this evening at Battle Arena have had some real fever pitch action, and they're hard to call because they're so back and forth, whereas this one was a bit stagnant there in the middle. And let's see if these two fighters can give us a little bit more here in the second round.
I did enjoy the brief bit of stand-up we saw at the first round, so hopefully see that again, those two big thunderous right kicks.
We always start there, don't we? That's one of the nicest things about MMA. We start standing, they touch it, and both go for kicks. Reece going high.
Double right kick, but I think his fingers came out of the glove. So these gloves have got a little bit more padding than a normal MMA glove, but it does mean your fingers can occasionally slip out.
Reece Smith going for the high head kick there, which just glanced off of Gabriel Evans, and goes for another switch kick there. Gabriel Evans answering back in kind.
I think Gabriel's got a little bit sharp on the striking, but Reece knew that he controlled him in the first round on the grappling and is looking to take it back to that. He had a big takedown, he's trying to repeat that as well.
Yeah, here I'd like to see Gabriel Evans just sit back and possibly try to get the hands a little bit higher on his hips so he wouldn't be eating that takedown, but now he has.
Gabriel he's gone back to the same position that we had in the first one, and this often happens in fights. You just end up exactly where the kind of neutral position is, and this time I'd like to see a bit more action. Maybe the ref will press them because he knows what happened the first round and not a lot was going on.
Yeah, that's up to the referee's discretion here. We get into the comfort zone of the second round with Reece Smith again on top, having landed a thunderous takedown, but Gabriel Evans looking frantically to get something working off of his back. He's not opening the guard, and he's not looking to swivel the hips as much as...
Yeah, I'd like to see him playing a little bit of open guard. You see there, he got that angle because he opened his feet, put a foot on the hip and moved. That's what I'd like to see him do, especially with his head in that cage. It really limits his movement. Let's see him trying to push off or get his back against that cage and stand up. I don't want to... it's not necessarily a smart strategy just to throw punches from the bottom. The judges aren't going to score you that you're winning the round, especially because you got taken down. The judges are probably going to be giving this to Reece Smith at the moment. And Gabriel's looking sharper in the striking, so I want to see him get back to the feet, throw those big right kicks again, get some combinations going. Oh, it looks like Reece Smith is now actually trying to work a bit of a pass He's quite happy to keep his head in his chest. And this would be so different if we were doing ground and pound to the head. If we were doing A-class rules, this would be much more of a win for Reece Smith. But with his just body shots, and he has improved position now. He's stepped over, he's gone to half guard, and he gets to... This is an improvement position. He's looking for mount. He's done a really good job stepping through from half guard to mount.
Into it. He lands a couple punches. Is he thinking about the face?
He's not allowed to hit the head.
That's probably why this fight has been allowed to go on so long on the ground, is actually these B-class rules, like you were saying earlier, favor the jiu-jitsu, and we get a lot more of that jiu-jitsu element there, so referees are inclined to let it go a little bit longer on the ground.
He's trying to set up an arm triangle there, trying to push the elbow so he can isolate that arm, but I think he's giving it away just a little bit.
Yeah, Reece Smith looking to sink in a submission here in mount position, the best position he's been in this whole entire fight, and really the defining moment of this round so far, him passing into mount.
If you were doing a fight under these rules where you couldn't hit the head, would you go to mount or would you stay in side control?
Probably go to mount to try to get those elbows high and look for S mount, but that's where it's at.
I think I'd be looking for maybe to keep it in side control so you can be a bit more active. You can set up those transitions. When a guy's got, when he's sat on him in mount, he's just going to keep his arms safe, and all he's got to do is worry about that. But
Gabriel Evans walking to his corner. He was the thing that you haven't thought, or the thing that we haven't thought about when it comes to Gabriel Evans right there, is that in the mount in those last 30 seconds of the round, he was fighting frantically just to get out of that position, and that's going to cause him a little bit of fatigue there at the end of the second. And as I saw him walking to his corner, he was holding his side a bit, so very possibly some of those body shots might have just snuck through and are giving him a little bit of trouble. But again, we're going to start standing in this third round, and maybe there'll be some little flare of action that can offset this fight.
We might see a slightly desperate Gabriel Evans. I think he knows he's lost the first two rounds. Big takedowns, controlling position. I'd like to see him come out doing everything he can to stay on those feet and land those big kicks and big punches.
It's all there, isn't it? It's all time. Here we go.
And if I was in Reece Smith's corner, I'd be telling him, take him down, do the same thing again, because you're winning this fight.
Yep, don't do anything different. But we start standing again, and the fever pitch is going to come from Gabriel Evans' corner. He better be able to dig deep and find something. They both don't go to the head again.
It's a bit predictable with that kick. He's loading up on it. Too many tells.
Good leg kick there from Reece Smith. Gabriel looking to just feint with that lead jab.
Oh, great teep, but he slipped on the mat. Oh, very unlucky not to be able to capitalise on that slip. Gabriel's really loading up. He's trying to finish this fight.
Oh.
And Reece doing the smart thing, getting back to the position where he's been dominant the whole fight.
Not much of a sprawl game there from Gabriel Evans, and unfortunately that's what's really letting him down here. He wasn't able to get his legs back, wasn't swiveling the hips. He wasn't active enough when Reece Smith was looking to take him down, and that's why every time this evening Reece Smith has gotten him down and been able to do a little, what small damage he has done in the guard.
And Gabriel Evans from Rising Crane, which is more of a traditional school, and sometimes the traditional schools don't embrace the wrestling side of it quite as much as other schools. They might look at judo or kind of a traditional martial arts approach to it. And, you're not going to learn to sprawl the same way, shoot the same way, and react the same way. But we're back to this very traditional thing we see in this fight now. We're just seeing some ground and pound to the body, head in the chest, kind of stalling his way through the fight, but he's definitely winning and he's controlling.
Reece Smith is going to be kicking himself that he didn't have this as an A-class bout. He's definitely built all over for semi-pro or amateur A-class.
He does have really good control. That head in the chest, pushing on his chin.
And just little spurts there of posturing up and raining down punches really quick. It's it can be quite off-putting to anybody, even somebody that's very good on the ground. So,
a little bit of rubber guard attempted. He thought about it, but it's going to be so hard with your head in the cage because it changes the angle of your body because your neck's at an angle. It's very hard to bridge. It's very hard to get hip movement. And a lot of fighters don't have a cage at the gym. They don't get to train it, and they neglect working and getting angles, standing up on the cage. It's all really important skills in MMA.
And it's so painful there in the cage, that's for sure, with your head going into the struts and everything of the sort that are tying it all together. And even trying to get your back on the cage to stand back up can be a painful endeavor. But Gabriel Evans needs to do this. The
referee's looking very closely, and there is an argument for a stand-up because both fighters are moving, but that's going to change things. Great pass to side control. Gabriel went for that Kimura, but it was a little bit of a lackluster attempt, and Reece capitalised, stepped over and got to side control, but Gabriel's done a great job of recovering, and now he's got a single butterfly hook.
Reece couldn't make it stick there. He needed to drop his hip down when he was in side control and try to crush that space which Gabriel Evans used to get back into guard. Now he's in half guard, just slowing the pace of this fight down, not allowing Reece Smith to even have a look in at a finish.
I think maybe Gabriel Evans, it's not always a good strategy, but when he was in that guard position, could have closed him down, held onto those wrists, and would just let the ref stand it up, so he would have had a shot of throwing some big shots to win the fight.
Yeah, cagecraft is important. It's something that you get with experience, and both of these lads now have 3 rounds of experience in their lives, and I'm sure it's gonna shape them for their next fight.
A lot of credit to both these fighters. The striking looked really, really good. It's a shame we couldn't see a bit more of it. Gabriel loading up on his kicks, just giving a few little tells, and you could see it coming. Reece, really good control from the top. Like, that head in the chest is so hard to deal with for the guy on the bottom, because, you know, sometimes if someone's really trying to hurt you, they're really throwing bombs, there's space for triangles, there's space for movement, there's space to get out of the way. But if someone's kind of just picking shots, keeping their head in your chest, it makes it really difficult to get any action going and any movement.
And your winner by unanimous decision from the blue corner, reece Smith. Please make some noise for our runner-up, Gabriel Evans. Reece, congratulations on your first win in the main final. How do you feel in that fight?
Well, I think it was fun next time. As soon as we get the net,
So yeah, you come from a boxing background, but the wrestling and running tonight for you.
Yeah, that's it. Got to win those.
So you coaches Charles and Paul over at Night Man for that.
Yeah, man. I was just striking that fight because that was all in tonight.
So we showed yourself tonight at the P5. Congratulations. Make some noise again for your winner, Reece